to the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Foo.
Gold, dude.
What causes a tear in your perineum?
Pregnancy.
For sure. But there's a drug. There's a drug on TV that I see advertised, and I don't know what it is.
Okay.
But it says may cause a tear in your perineum. Like, how does that happen?
Did any of your kids have fissures when they were like newborns?
In their asshole?
Yeah.
Not that you're aware of.
Xander had.
Oh.
Yeah. It was so like blood in his stool. Like when he started eating some solid foods. Like I don't think it was. Ooh.
But he's not taking a medication to
No,
cause
he
it.
wasn't. It was just like his lower colon was
his tarpoo was too
was so thin that it would tear easy or wasn't completely. So it may have been still breast milk. His early diapers had.
I'm sure Xander's going to be excited to hear we were talking about his early diapers.
Right, and now he absolutely just absolutely vacates loaves of bread.
He's got the strongest friggin' rectum ever.
Yeah, it's like a fucking just Hubble telescope shutter.
Jesus.
Just slink.
It's like a worm crawling through the dirt, right? Just
chew it up and go. Yep. Man.
Gazinda Gazada.
Yeah. At level 0, he was just fighting the good fight, and somehow that has turned his asshole into the callous turd cut machine.
I think that would only be a problem if maybe he like shoved a whole loaf of bread in his face and it came out as a loaf of bread out the back. That could be an issue. And still sliced.
Like whatever defect he had, like allows him to just uber compress. Like maybe he's missing a turn in the colon, and so then
it gathers up too much steam.
Yeah, when it gets to just kind of and just hits the back, just shut door. And it compresses like a goddamn slinky.
Is he? Does he often just be like, "Oh, I gotta go"? Like it's hitting me. It's literally tapping cotton right now.
Yeah. I mean, your son plays video games, so it's possible. Like the way that he comes and gets up out of the I'll be right back. Door opens, door shuts.
Raisin loaf if you want some. How many times have you replaced your plunger, sir?
Like 2.
I bought stock in plungers.
Yeah. Not at Home Depot, but Lowe's.
That's true.
I'm just... I know what you...
Don't get me started on the list.
Yeah, I know who you sponsors are. The shocking one to me with that was In-N-Out.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, no.
Really?
What?
How's that possible?
But I already hated Chick-fil-A, so...
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
It has been a rough week. Can I just say that?
I'm drinking again, so fucking here we go. Welcome to Sad Dads Club Podcast, episode 318. He's not in office yet, and we're still getting hammered.
Oh, my gosh. Well, the latest was you asked me, maybe yesterday or the day before, was there any concern or have you guys talked about Shanna, who my wife is a special ed teacher's aide.
Right.
Shanna possibly losing her job. And I was like, yeah, this is a concern. This is a concern.
Yeah. what's unfortunate for me, is that the first go round, I was so deep in paying attention to the election that I understood and knew the platform that he was coming from and how amorphous and vague it was, but also how fringe the talking points were.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew exactly where Clinton's policies were coming from, the Democratic machine, and where they were roughly going. I knew. This go round, I was so convinced that there's no way the country would do what it did again.
Yeah.
That I really wasn't, like, all of his dog whistle stuff was just like, oh, well, of course he's going to say that. I'm not really, like, I know where he's going.
It's not going to happen.
Right. But I'm not, and I'm watching on occasion the stuff that Harris Walt's ticket was saying. It was important, but my call was already so easy because of the priority that I had. Policy was like tertiary. Like I was voting for a person that, on principle, that wouldn't impact my family. Policies, you and I know, we're old men now at this point. The person that's at the top of the food chain is a mouthpiece, and they get to suggest and direct, but by and large, the legislative machine and checks and balances stymie and or water down the intent of whatever the mouthpiece is saying.
Sure.
How often have you and I been sitting here, or certainly probably you with a friend or you with a family member, and went, government doesn't do shit. Like, I haven't seen, everything is so, right? When was the last time you said, God damn, they keep putting things in place and it's all working for me and they're doing it so fast? Said no one.
No one ever.
Ever.
Right.
Right? So when the policy stuff,
I'll say this,
was a lot over my head because I really wasn't paying attention.
Well, I'll say this. The only time that happened was when Trump put in a tax cut for the for the rich.
Right. So
that made a difference.
A lot of the
for people.
The budgetary stuff that has to get passed that we often see in the last, probably 15 to 20 years, probably since Clinton.
You're talking about the budget for keeping the government running?
Yeah, and it shuts down and then it opens again and someone gives way on taxes or someone does a momentary or an extension, but eventually it all gets passed. Like, eventually the government has to pay its bills. Eventually. Taxes fall into that. Sometimes they suck. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes I have an income tax credit. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes my tax bracket just fucking moved.
Or sometimes you just don't notice any change.
Or sometimes you don't notice anything.
Yeah.
So, to my fault, policies, because I was voting on principles of the person, I wasn't really paying attention in detail. The California propositions I was, but the positions necessarily of the presidential candidates were kind of like, yeah, I get it.
You already knew who you were voting for.
Right.
Yeah.
And I knew from his existing term, right-wing, fringe, white politics, talking points, conservative, scare tactics, he's going to tell you that, and that's where his stump speech shit is going to vocalize. So, post-election, post our last podcast, when I started, okay, roll up the sleeves. Now now I have to pay attention. Now I'm paying attention. Tariffs, I hit first.
Yeah. which is comedy.
Which is 100% comedy. I could probably
if it's not so fucking sad.
I could probably right.
Sure.
And then in the last couple days, because I think I had Venus and I were grocery shopping, but this is the longest way to get there. Venus and I were grocery shopping. We have I won't say her name because I don't know if she wants to know her. A very nice band mom that is a good friend of Venus's, and I mentioned this in our small chat. She is a teacher locally. She has 2 daughters that are absolutely just great young ladies. They're in the arts. They do extracurricular stuff, and the mom, she's a teacher in the local area. So she, like Shan, is directly impacted on whatever policies Trump may want to suggest or direct the Department of Education or his appointees to steer that will directly impact her. That woman is not unlike Shan, and she just wants to do right by the kids, wants to help kids. The kids and teaching and making young people better people, that's her purpose. And she's a teacher. She gets absolutely shit on 10 ways a Sunday, whether it's by the system in general and being underpaid or overworked or lack of funds. Like everything.
Or the parents.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything hurts for teachers, teachers' aides.
There's a lot of things in the realm of education that take away the joy of the job.
Right. Like I just want to help the kids. I want to put the kids on good paths.
Yes.
So while I am underpowered as far as what I know of his Department of Education stuff, I know the headlines, at least the multiple sources. It is wants to gut it, wants to abolish it, wants to just disassemble it, number 5 kind of thing. And so that was my like, hey, how's this playing out for you guys?
The concern is, and you and I had talked a little bit about this, to the extent that the machine of the Senate and the House of Representatives would be difficult to get that through.
I would agree. And what little I
agree with that. However,
there's a huge
The however in there is that Trump has already made concessions in order to make himself more powerful than he should have been. Right?
Okay.
And what I mean by that is like he has made it a decision by the Supreme Court to give him the presidential power to do pretty much whatever he wants. And so that's the thing that concerns me is now with that, right, he has sort of laid his groundwork for being able to do whatever he wants to do without going through the House and the Senate.
Okay.
And so that is the concern.
And at this point, rightly so.
Yeah.
I am so kind of disillusioned with the legal system at this point that the president may very well say, I'm doing this, and put it in place. And someone says...
through executive order or whatever.
And someone says, well, okay. And they start that ball rolling, and a month or a week later, someone says, hey, here's the legal summons to bring this to court. And then 4 months later, everyone else is still, everyone who's a teacher, teacher's aide, or in the administration system for the education in general is like,
what does that mean for us?
Do I have a job? Do I not have a job?
Right.
Am I going to get paid? When am I going to get paid?
Can I pay my bills?
Right. How?
Yeah.
While you guys up there are pissing on each other over legalese as to whether or not the guy could or couldn't do what he's done, the acting secretary or the appointed secretary isn't writing my check. So this means shit to me.
Yeah.
That is 100% the scenario I could see happening.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's my concern. And like I said, it's not normally I would be like, okay, well, he's got to get this put through the House and the Senate, but he has gone to great lengths to ensure that he's got this conservative Supreme Court set up.
Sure. Yeah.
And that court has now also given him presidential power, which also I would assume would apply to Joe Biden at this point, right?
Sure. It's just no one has been this lunatic to try and press
some of this.
Poke the bear.
Right.
Like no one in their right mind would try and do that.
Right. Now the fallout from something like that, is what are we? What's the gain by that? You're going to have 50 different education systems, and
like ultimately, I think that was his. Yeah,
and then means you got 50 different sets of standards, and
yes,
and then the other part of this is that, well, the states have to do it as long as they teach the Bible. And that is another thing.
Right. You'd end up in a problem where if you don't have a Department of Education to regulate education, well, then you can't also simultaneously mandate a curriculum and or a requirement because you just vacated it.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of the things that I saw that, well, I mean, it was good in a stump speech, like I'm gonna completely disassemble and abolish the Department of Education. But like the reality is, the other talking points he had about gender identity, not therapy, but like the fostering of understanding gender identity issues in the campus. Like condoms and tampons in bathrooms, like sex ed, trans gender identities playing in evolution in books,
teaching Black history,
right, prayer, and all the things. Well, I think I just hit 5 things that would become extremely difficult for you to say, well, I don't want a Department of Education that would regulate those things, but at the same time, I want all of those things to be regulated because I want every step, because I told you that's what I was going to do.
So if there is no Department of Education, then you don't have a overseeing body to regulate what's happening with the states, is the bottom line of what you're saying.
So if someone was like, yeah, he's going to give us all that money back because he's going to abolish the Department of Education and I don't have kids. And then your buddy down the street with the Camaro on the blocks is like, and they should be teaching prayer in schools. Yeah, absolutely. They should start every day with fucking the biblical prayer, the New Testament. Yeah, I agree with you, guy who has the Dodge Power Wagon on blocks. You're like... Yeah, well, wait, how do they do both at the same time? Well, I don't know, but he said he could do it, so fucking
well, the wild thing to me, and this is something that I had brought up earlier before we had started the show, was so there's a lot of money that gets taken from middle-class America that goes into funding federal education.
Yes.
That money will no longer have a place to go. If it's
right, and they also do federal student loans. So all that money.
Oh yeah, good point. So this funding, we're still going to be paying. It's not like we're getting a tax break because that money is not going to be. It's no longer going to be taken from us. It's still going to be taken from us.
Right. Like how many people are staffing the entirety of the Department of Education and all its services. Well, the good news is, let's say it's 1,000. All those people are now canned. They're all gone.
Right.
Okay, cool. So does the
$1 trillion or whatever?
Does the cost of all that salaries, all of that retirement stuff, benefits, supplies, infrastructure for the desks and pencils and air conditioning for all those people,
computers,
right? So, do I get that money back?
No, that's not going to happen.
Right. Tell me.
So what's going to happen?
Where'd the money go?
The money is going to end up coming out of your check still.
Right.
And what's going to happen is the state is now going to have to be funding the schools.
Yes.
But the state doesn't have the money for that.
Right.
Because it has always relied on federal funding.
Federal subsidies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so that means that now the state is going to have to rally taxes somewhere from us.
Right. Congratulations,
property taxes.
Trump voter.
Yeah.
California taxes are going to go up again, and you're going to absolutely be pissed off. So that way your kids can continue to get the subpar education that you already hate that they are not getting enough of anyway. But your taxes are going to go up because the taxes that you're paying federally are going to get shell gamed to the taxes.
And I mean, in
level.
addition to that, if you don't like the public schools, well, you're going to pay out of pocket,
right,
for a private school. So you're going to be taxed from the feds, taxed from the state, and you're going to pay out of pocket for
what's that?
It doesn't make any sense.
What's that Christian right school that's over here by the Auto Mall?
Oh,
it's not John
Adams.
John Adams.
Yeah.
Right. So anyone, sorry if you're listening and you have a child at John Adams. How affordable is your kids' John Adams tuition?
Right.
Now, can the neighbor down the street who's barely able to put shoes and untorn jeans on his kids, can they afford that?
The other part of it is that
probably not.
I don't have any kids in school.
Yeah.
Well, I have one kid in school, but it is a private school that she is paying for. Okay, so I'm going to get that straight out. So I don't have any kids in grade, junior high, or high school, right?
Right.
I'll still be paying federal taxes, state taxes for the schools that I'm not even using.
Right.
What the fuck?
Well, you know what, Jim? That's just contributing to the betterment of society, and you should just be happy about that. But some people, what did I hear Tim Walz say? He said his policy was you can either choose to have funding for buses and meals for kids, or you can choose to have funding for buses and meals for prisoners.
Sure. I get that.
Pick one. Pick one. And that funding happens regardless of your parental status.
And I love that thought process. However, I'm curious to know, I doubt it's been in place long enough to have any data on this. Does it actually translate into what he's saying?
Oh, like lower crime? Or is it like lower prison population?
Yeah. Does it make a difference?
That may be hard to well, when did the new felony law kick in, the one that we passed?
Oh, when does it kick in?
Is it Jan 1?
I assume.
So something like that may be hard to quantify starting Jan 1 because you will have lowered the threshold of people in prison but not done anything for education.
Yeah, but
you should be able to measure crime rate versus academic participation.
I mean, I'm just bringing it up because, and I like Tim Walz quite a bit. I don't think he's perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I understand what he's saying. But my ask is like, he's governor, and this is something that he's put in place, is this meals thing, and I think that's great for kids because kids don't learn when they're fucking hungry.
No one should be hungry.
Right.
So, my perspective.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
I think it's an awesome thing, but what he's saying is, which is the feel good thing to say, like, we're giving kids meals now, so we don't have to do it later in prison. I mean, that's saying a lot.
Right, but I think I think there are ties, and that is if you're offering a child not only a way to get to school, but a meal at that location, that puts them in a place where, at least for a moment in time, they have an opportunity, not a guarantee, to be educated, to remove them down the road.
Sure.
Now, to your point, I would hope that it's not just a rhetoric thing that he has from his time as whenever he got that put in place. I would hope.
Well, first of all, it would
take that the data would be needed.
It would take some number of years to find out if that was even like a thing. Like, if you put it in place and you had a group of kids that were like in grade school,
sure,
it would take 8 or so years for them to get it up into like the high school range.
I would think,
and be criminal.
I would think you could see.
Right. I mean, it would take some number of years.
I would think you should be able to see that within 4. I think you should have some measurable.
So you think the high school time frame would be enough?
If you put that in, and I don't know when I thought he started it young, but if you were to say, if you started feeding net new freshmen, you got them buses where they didn't have it or didn't have a guarantee, buses and a breakfast, guaranteed, breakfast and lunch, guaranteed at school. You should see some sort of data by the time those kids are seniors versus the senior class that just left.
Sure. Okay. Sure. I'll give you that.
And probably more so I think prepubescent.
I think your grade school time frame would set you up for success in junior high and high school. Like
sure.
You're setting these kids up from early on to pass through the system, right? So I think
the pattern of education and getting that seed planted is probably better received the younger you can get that in.
Now, I will say this. What he doesn't say, okay? So instead of saying, well, we buy buses and food for the kids so we don't buy buses and prison food for them later. So instead of saying something like that, maybe you could say, well, we buy buses and food for the kids for breakfast and lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's helping our families in our state because now they are not spending money on groceries for that child for breakfast and lunch.
Right.
I think that would be even bigger of a thing to say.
Right.
Because that's sort of like, in my opinion, the Republican fear thing that they instill about there's millions and millions. How many times have you heard Trump say there's millions and millions and millions of people coming just streaming across our border that are murdering and that's the fear talk, right?
Right.
So when you start to talk about, oh, well, we're doing this so that we're not doing it for them in prison. Instead of focusing on what the positive is.
The criminality part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of the positive being, well, we're helping everyone in our state. Our kids are getting meals and our families that support the kids don't have to buy those meals. So they save. Everybody in our state saves money that has a child that goes to school, saves money on breakfast and lunch for their child.
I would say
that would be more impactful to me.
I think so. But you would have to look at it from a perspective of if the kids are going without meals. So it's not even money that's being saved. It's money that can't be spent anyway. So it is
not every kid doesn't get meals.
Sure. What I'm saying is the household that has a mean income that is so low that a kid can't even get a meal.
Right.
It's not that, I'm going to save $4.50 and not buy you breakfast. Right. It's not even that. It is.
I just don't have it.
I don't have $4.50. I think from an optics perspective, instead of trying to scare you with what happens, it's crime. It is. We have such a problem with families not being able to earn a living wage that we are having to tax ourselves to supply kids with food.
Yeah.
And hopefully, as we get these kids fed and transported to school so they can get an education, we will start to uplift not only the ability for them to earn higher wages, but we then need the second problem over here is what are we doing about people being able to earn living wages so that we can then draw down this subsidy of needing to feed kids because everyone can buy their kids meals.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the good news is you get rid of the Department of Education.
Right.
You don't have to worry about whether or not the kids are getting their meals.
No one has to go to school if there's no school.
It's always snow day.
They'll just eat grilled cheese at home, man.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about leaving work.
Get rid of the buses.
Right. They'll just turn on Bluey.
The whole notion of this idea is just astronomically bonkers.
Right? Everyone's just going to move to the greater state of Idaho and be like, you know what? They're not going to tell me how to teach my kids. The fucking California, they want us to be able to compete with the Japanese. That's bullshit.
Well, that was my next point. Like, we're always worried about how we fare globally as far as our education systems, and we're always behind a lot of countries.
Yes.
And I don't think that this is going to help.
No. No, because you're going to have states that'll be like, yep, you should teach your kids exactly what you want to teach them.
You're going to have a state like Mississippi.
Right.
Where no kids left behind and they all fucking graduate.
Hashtag
and
sorry, Mississippi.
They're all dumb as shit.
Right.
Right? Or you're going to have a state like California, I hope.
Yeah.
Where they have some standards and kids that have to work to get through school.
We'll figure it out. Your roads are still going to be shit, but we'll figure it out.
I mean, we're working on having this disparity between states of, well, what's, maybe you're applying for a job. And, well, where did you grow up? Oh, you grew up in Alabama? I got applicants from New York State and California and Washington that are far more qualified because their school standards are better.
So does Melly have an internship left? Not with here, not local.
She'll have one more internship after she's done with her current externship.
That
will be who knows where.
That is random.
Yes.
So have you by chance talked to her about what that may mean in a...
Oh, yeah. She's concerned about it.
Right. Piper's the same way.
Yeah.
One of Piper's concerns was that she, given women's issues, her ability to move or take opportunities in other states will be directly impacted by no longer having federal support for women's liberty.
Uh-huh.
And that will be up to the state. And if
Yeah.
the state doesn't treat a woman or her health options with the same equality of a man, well, then that's not a state she can take occupational opportunities in. So as Melly, who may have a luck of the draw not up to her entirely, random set of internships, solutions that may not be in a state that recognizes her body autonomy for something absolutely tragic to happen to her, why would she put herself at risk?
Right.
Why would she take that opportunity?
Right.
What does that mean for her?
Yeah.
Like, Piper, like that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like that kind of, how did we get to this point where now someone on the cusp of academic, like the peak of academic success, now has to walk back their options because someone is letting their faith drive the country's mandates? Like,
right.
That's
crazy.
That sucks, because my daughter and son and your daughter and son to some degree have put in an extremely large amount. Well, my son hasn't either. Both our daughters have put in an extremely large amount of effort on external academics.
Yeah.
For something that they're hoping is they remain passionate for and get paid money to do.
Well, and here's the interesting bit is so currently Millie has a externship through the VA, which here in Sacramento is at McClellan and Mather. So she splits her time between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So every other day, or she has a set schedule, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, she goes one place, and Tuesday, Thursday, she goes to another place. So she is spending time at both of our local Air Force bases that are they're privatized, but they have VA hospitals at them.
Okay.
It is her understanding from her time since June of being at the VA is that a lot of the veterans have been really happy with the changes at the VA, and the funding has really helped them. And there has been a lot of positive feedback from, let's face it, most of the people she deals with there are older vets.
Okay.
And she is audiology, so she sees a lot of older vets that have hearing issues.
Oh, sure.
So they have dealt with the VA over the years of kind of going through funding cycles depending on
the administration
or whatever. And so they have, under Biden, there was a big VA push.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have been a lot of the VA users of the facilities have been happy to see that this has come around.
Someone's taking care of those that have served for us. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So my concern is, considering Trump's scorecard,
mm-hmm.
shall we say, of how he talks and treats veterans in general,
mm-hmm.
and considering that the funding has been brought up since he was in office prior, which to me tells me that he doesn't care about the vets because he didn't implement any sort of funding.
Sure.
So my concern is that Melanie wants to work at the VA because she likes it there,
mm-hmm.
because she doesn't have to sell hearing aids, right?
Mm-hmm.
The VA just orders hearing aids. Like, if you come in and you're a vet and you have hearing issues,
mm-hmm.
and they decide you need hearing aids, they just fucking order them and you get them.
Right.
You don't pay anything out of pocket. They just order them.
Right.
We're talking like $3,000 to $5,000 hearing aids or whatever.
I have no qualms about that.
No,
you serve the country.
Yeah.
You get covered. Yep.
So one of the benefits of her working possibly getting employed with the VA, because right now she's just an extern. She gets no pay from the VA whatsoever. So she can get hired on. If she can get hired on at the VA, she can work there for 10 years and all of her school will get paid for. So she'll pay student loans for like 10 years. Once her 10-year tenure is up, then the government will pay her student loans.
Whatever's left.
Yeah. And she can split the time. She can work there 3 years and then come back and do 7, or, she can leave and come back. So that is a good thing. However, that could all change.
Oh, yeah.
That could all change.
Funding is funding. Right.
Yeah. And so now because that was like, oh, that's really cool. And they like her at the VA. She's had her manager or her preceptor and other audiologists that are been in the audiology business for a while. All tell, oh, you're doing really good, and I'm going to put a good word in for you. And we've had those conversations with her that she's telling us this is happening. And we're like, cool. That means they really like you, and you have the opportunity to get in there, because it's not that easy to do. But then there's this 10-year cycle that could just get yanked.
Sure.
That's my worry, right? That's my concern now. Because there was this tunnel with a light at the end of it that could help her bigly. But
bigly.
Now
Smally.
It's questionable.
Right. Sure.
There hasn't been any mandate that's going to happen, but that could change. There's 4 years of who knows.
Who knows?
So those are the kind of concerns that have been talked about. And especially, man, I just feel bad for, people who are teachers.
Yeah.
And the uncertainty that they will be dealing with. And even from my wife, it's not like my wife makes a ton of money or anything, but like, she's like, I've been doing this for 20 something years. So does that mean I'm going to have to find some other thing?
She has nice feet. You ever thought about OnlyFans for Shan's feet? No. Ooh. Sold to Ulanzi.
Let's get the wire wheel out.
Yeah. What?
I'm just picturing that Dumb and Dumber clip where they go into the... Yeah. But, it's a concern. So
yeah,
I figured I'd bring that up because there's just so many aspects of like unknowns, and I'm really hoping that a lot of the things that have been said over the course of the last couple of years of campaigning are a lot like what ended up happening in the first term, which was pretty much nothing got done by that guy.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
we're gonna
have a wall, and Mexico's gonna pay for it. Well, we built, a part of a wall.
Like, okay, you guys, where's that money coming from?
Mexico did not pay for it.
You guys are ready to, right? You're concerned about that board? No, the wall's not gonna fix it. I don't know what to tell you.
So there were a lot of things that he said during the first campaign run where he got elected that didn't come to fruition, probably because he was golfing all the time. And maybe that's the hope.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he won't spin his wheels trying to do Affordable Care Act. I think I saw that. He's not going to bother with that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, because if you can't replace it with something better.
Right. There's no options. And it's way to like the fucking tick is embedded at this point. I'm like, no.
See, that's the whole thing.
But he's like, Department of Education.
Yeah.
Fuck
like,
them.
Like the whole like
tax
healthcare thing. Like he has been on record saying, well, if I can't replace it with something better, then there's no reason to get rid of it. Well, that's the whole thing with the Department of Education. You're not replacing it with something better.
Right. Yeah, he wants the states to replace it, though.
But that's like 50 totally different things that are going to be happening all over the country. It's just bonkers.
I'm waiting to see who he nominates for that.
For the Department of Education.
Yeah, does he not nominate anybody?
And not if you're going to get rid of it, I guess.
It's like, I want you to go in here and disassemble.
Just there's a empty... Just your desk is in the corner.
You're not even allowed to have a secretary.
You can sit until it's gone.
As fast as you can. Your bonus is like...
Your bonus.
It's like starts whittling down the amount of days.
I want to see you on site at the schools pitching desks out the door.
Right. Listen. Oh, you're fired. Next.
Which that happened a lot of.
Right. I'm going to get a monkey in here.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah. We are, I feel like we're delving into a lot of uncertain times.
Yeah.
And I hate to feel the doom and gloom of it. Like I feel like there is a weight, I feel like, that has been put on me that I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
That I don't know.
In 4 years.
4 more years.
Right. January 1. And then we get to see what happens in 2028.
Yeah.
Right? Because...
there's my concern, too. Like, we have a 2-term limit.
Yeah.
But maybe he'll want to change that.
Right. Hey, listen, while we got control of all 3, how about we... Like, maybe we should bump it to 3. Like, wouldn't you like to see me in here?
Maybe we'll just set it for unlimited terms.
Maybe.
And then it'll be like Putin, where he's like, oh, look, I got 88% of the vote.
Listen, China is going to start a war, and I should be here to handle that. Because I'm the bigliest negotiator.
I feel bad for Ukraine.
Why? Elon was on the call. Don't be sad,
man. Because they were their own. They're a sovereign nation. They were their own deal, and now you got a special military operation. What the fuck even is that? And
no one knows, man.
And then you're just gonna go in and bomb all their cities and kill a bunch of people. And
I'm gonna stop the war. It's cool.
Yeah, I'll stop it. 24 hours.
Within 24 hours
of being elected, I can stop the war. That's
no big deal. No big deal.
I just get on the phone with my buddy.
I'm the bigliest negotiator.
Now, I am not much for conspiracy theories.
Oh, boy.
I have read an article that was a translation of a Russian article.
Okay.
That essentially said, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the article, but basically the article said something to the effect of Donald Trump got elected and now it's time for him to pay back the favors.
It's okay, because we're not even really a news site, so you can say these things. We're like Fox News of podcasts. It can be fact adjacent, but it's all good, bro.
These are the things I read and then I get concerned, and I don't normally bring it up,
Right. There we go.
And I really don't like conspiracies. I don't care for them at all.
That man over there in that country has probably got any number of disinformation tendrils just to do even if it was fact,
right.
You would have there is so much shit that's sideways, that there would be no way for us to know.
I know.
The only thing we can know is that he was given some sort of opportunities that weren't necessarily cashed in at some point for hotel real estate opportunities there. The legitimacy of those things, fucking who knows?
I know.
Like
I don't even necessarily believe the source, right? But
was it Newsmax?
No, it was.
Was it OAN?
No.
Well, of course not.
But the concern would be that you have a guy who's heading into the presidency that would have, in my opinion, do just about anything to get there, right?
Right.
I mean,
and even the things he didn't know he did, he would do them.
Well, no, I mean,
because he's an idiot.
And the reason why I say that is there's like the phone call from him talking to Georgia election officials saying, "Find me 11,700 and whatever votes." That's all you got to do.
Oh yeah.
We have that. That's a thing. That's real. That he tried to tell them to find him that many votes.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see that kind of behavior, and like January 6th, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm worried that like someone has their
a
grip in him.
Yeah. He's been there once.
He's been compromised.
Know
Yeah, he's been compromised somehow.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody has something over him. And now he's going to end up paying the piper. With what, I don't know. But that would be the worry. That would be the concern.
Mm.
And so I don't know. That's my concern.
Yeah. We should take an opportunity, probably at least for some form of a chunk of the time we have.
Yeah.
To try and tackle a policy thing.
Yeah.
In the hopes of educating whoever listens just to work against
all three people.
All three of you.
Yeah.
You know who you are. Hey baby. You have my phone number. You call me.
Absolutely.
I know who you are.
Yeah.
Just to say that was like at least we're doing our part.
Yeah.
Because now it's 50 chunks minutes.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, this is our first political podcast. And we're back to, but it feels good. It feels good.
It just feels good to talk about it. There's so much disinformation out there. Sometimes it's hard to separate the fact from the fiction.
I guess, because I wanted to get into something that wasn't politics.
Yeah.
I will say this. I saw something that really, and I've talked about this with my dad on a number of occasions in the last couple of years. It was probably towards the tail end of Trump's last presidency. And a lot of it had to do with, or maybe the last chunk of Obama's presidency. And it was a lot of the stymieing that Mitch McConnell did in the Senate, like where it was when Obama he was no longer running, so you were starting to see the Republican candidates starting to bubble up and run their campaigns for president against what would eventually obviously be Hillary Clinton. The concept that no longer applies probably post 2016 of the voter registration ground game, or the ability for either party to feel confident that having people knock on doors and try and bolster voter turnout or change voter perspective on a candidate by saying, my party goes door to door and we have a great ground game. That is no longer applicable in the TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat era. You can generate and twist and disseminate misinformation, disinformation, slightly altered fact into what may be more palatable but is also fictitious stuff through social media that will curb stomp any
grassroots
ground game function that you think you have.
Right.
The ability for the 2024 presidential election to be completely derailed by fear-mongering and scare tactics or misinformation through social media far outpaced any ability for someone with the genuine intent of trying to make you a better informed voter by spending an afternoon by knocking on 100 doors. You cannot reach that amount of people.
Right.
That someone on social media can be like, there are 250,000 criminals coming across the Mexican border every day. Look, here's a shot. And it's something from 2011 that, and you're like, fuck, dude, they're coming over right now.
Right.
And you're done.
For sure.
You're bought and fucking sold. People need to figure it the fuck out because this is what we got. And the ground game is not a thing. We're behind.
Yeah.
I did brakes on the Miata.
Yeah.
Fuck, that was easy.
What are they, like bicycle handbrakes?
Yeah, just adjust the cable and it's good to go. Piper was starting to get a flickering of her brake light.
Oh, yeah. Which means the fluid's low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I haven't done your pads in quite a while. And she's like, okay. So her pads were probably $80 or
Get them at the bike shop?
No, Amazon, baby. Fucking make that Prime work for me. No bike shop. Fucking Mike's Bikes down on Vernon. Bitch.
No, you just need the two little pads, right? That squeeze the...
you just buy 4 and just add them into the thing. Super easy.
Yeah.
But the thing...
Did you have to put rotors on?
No. They were pretty good. They didn't feel like they had any ridges at all. No resurfacing needed.
Yeah.
Not that I wouldn't if it had come to that, but hers were so quick and easy that I was like, sweet. But it fixed. Not only did putting the new pads. I showed her a picture. I'm like, so, these are the pads that you had on your rears, and these are the new pads and the material that are on the rear. And she's like, oh. Nothing. It wasn't like Danger Will Robinson in any capacity, but it was like. So you understand, as the pads get lower, the fluid
goes down
because there's more piston length to push. He's like, oh, okay. And sure as shit, once I got to the fronts and had done the fronts, the reservoir was like...
Yeah, coming up.
I couldn't close... I'm like, oh, so I got out of a syringe and I was having to take out fluid.
Yeah.
It probably would have been better for me to just completely swap out the fluid, but I didn't have any fresh... stuff to put in it anyway.
You should have called me. I have stuff.
Do you have
I bought like a gallon of .3 and then I have a compressor fluid swapper. So you fill up the thing and that goes on the top of the reservoir and it just feeds the reservoir. Then you put the other thing out at the corner at the bleeder and you turn on the compressor and then it sucks fluid through until it's clear, and then you close the bleeder, and then you go to all 4 wheels.
No,
you should have called me.
I didn't need it at the time. So did hers? Now I have mine to do because when I took the RS into Ford, they were like, "Oh, you need pads and your rotors need resurfacing." I'm like, well, do I not? Fucking 30,000 miles. I may need pads, so I ordered pads anyway. I'm like, fucking, well, why not?
Yeah.
I don't really care. I've never been impressed with the RS's. Man, I get so much brake dust.
You got to get ceramic pads.
I did.
Oh, good.
So I hope to reduce.
That will help.
They did. So it was tires, resurface, the rotors and new pads. I'm like, well, fucking, I wouldn't mind getting like a big brake kit for the fucking thing. But then I was like, oh, that's a price tag. I don't really need the big brake kit. How about some ceramic pad? I can do that.
Huge difference.
So I will probably, it won't be this weekend. I have the pads, but Saturday is busy with the band thing, and Friday I don't know, and tomorrow I've got a thing after work, so I don't. Venus doesn't work from home Friday, so if I have to go somewhere or do something for the kids, I will need my car. So I'm like, well, I can't do. Anyway,
yeah.
So I've got stuff ready to go for mine. The real cool thing that I did this weekend, though, was about 3 weeks ago, Amazon was having one of their Prime Day sales, not their Black Friday, whatever their random thing is to stoke
a couple times a year
consumerism.
Yeah. You actually found something to buy?
The Govee Under Eve permanent lights.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
That we didn't get last year because we missed the boat. And we're like, oh, we should. And then we didn't. And then I was like, fuck it. I'm tired of putting up Christmas lights. We should do that. Yeah. Then they were beyond the sale. I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm not going to pay this price. I saw what they were on sale for on Black Friday. I'm not going to fucking pay this.
Right.
I'll wait till next year. Well, one of those Prime Day sales popped up, and Venus was like, hey, I just got this Govee sale for like 150 feet. I'm like, we don't need 150 feet. Like, is the 100-foot length on sale? She's like, yeah, but are you sure it's not 150 feet? I'm like, fucking, I have measured that with the little wheel. It's actually 88 feet. So 100 feet will be
more than enough.
Perfect.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, well, I got the ad for the 150. I'm like, fucking, here, we want these. These, click, click. Yes, click, click, click. Yes. They were on sale. I was like fucking 27% off. I'm like, get the 100-foot. Get the 100-foot. So they'd been sitting in the office for probably 2 weeks. And last weekend, I think before it rained, I was like,
putting them up.
I'm doing it. Fuck it. I'm doing it. Like, if I don't do it now, hot damn. And they tie into the lady. So, and I gave them a name so I can just say, lady. So now it's not even like last year's Christmas lights where I'm like, well, they're LED bulbs and they go all the way around the house. I'll just fucking leave them on all the time because otherwise I have to come out here and unplug them. Now, did I own the remotes to do the turn them off at the outlet? Yeah, but that's just too much trouble. And did my wife buy a fucking little scheduler timer thing to like plug in? Yeah, but I don't like those dial things. Those are confusing to me.
Oh my God.
It's not like an egg timer, and I don't understand how it works. So it would just be all winter season. The fucking icicle lights would just be like 24/7, baby.
But yet work will give you all the passwords for all the systems.
Yeah. And I was just like, this is dumb. So it's Saturday. I put them all up.
Yeah.
Exactly the length that I needed.
Perfect.
The kit was, it came with a number of like links and doodads to do, because they're the permanent ones, so they're meant to be left up all year.
Yeah.
It came with a number of lengths and segments of various, like so that you can cut the string and splice. Like if you have to go around an eave or something, you're like, you can't put a light somewhere. Like it doesn't make sense. You need to go from a thing.
So do they give you some blank?
Yeah, they give you like
perfect.
A couple segments of like blanks to go from an A location to a B where you wouldn't put a light.
Yeah, perfect.
In my case, I didn't need anything in between because I have like a gutter or an eave that like chains right into each other. I did use one of the segments to get from the socket to like where it actually, my string actually starts.
Yeah.
So it was perfect. And then it was fucking launch the app, which is the same app that controls all of my office lights. which then automatically imported itself into the Amazon lady and was like, okay, give you a name.
Nice.
And it had a number of preset, like totally option, like capable, like scenes for various, what did they call them? Festivals.
For like Jewish
Yes,
holiday.
the fucking Hanukkahs, the
Hanukkah,
Christmas,
yeah.
the Halloweens, the St. Patrick's Day, the Father's Day, the Mother's Day, the Easter, the...
What do the lights look like for Mother's Day? Like pink or something?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't click on that.
They're
one.
like blue for Father's Day?
Yeah. Wang. It's just pink.
Oh, my God.
So it ended up like, I'm just fucking around with it. Plus, I can not only just tell the lady, turn off the lights.
Yeah.
But it has
you can set a schedule for it.
It has a routine where it's like at sunrise, they shut off. At sunset, they turn on.
Yeah.
Or if I'm like when we go to bed and I just go, lady, turn off the office lights. I can do, lady, turn off the castle lights, and then it fucking.
Nice.
You can custom configure light colors and like how it like blinks, so like all that stuff.
Nice.
So they're there. It's done.
I saw it when I pulled up.
Fucking sweet.
I'm like, he did it.
I fucking did
Look
it.
at that guy.
And then when we went, so today's Wednesday. Tuesday? It may have been yesterday. We were in here in the garage, like consolidating and shit canning like our various holiday bins of shit. I'm like,
Pitch these lights.
I'm done without like lights to stream around the fucking patio and the porch. I'm like, done. Icicles, gone. Fuck you, gone. I don't need that. Gone. I kept the laser projector.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, fucking, that was
You'll
like
put that up.
That was like $50.
Yeah.
I'll point that at my son's room or something. I don't know, Dad.
Can you make it like display like naked ladies or something?
I could probably put a little film in front of it that's just like a little cock, and just like so it would project like a red and green cock image.
Perfect.
Yeah,
right in his window.
Right in his window. You're like, hey, son, Merry Christmas.
Sweet dreams, buddy.
Hey, sleep tight with that big cock on your fucking wall. The big green cock. It's a little Hulk wang in there, buddy.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, that is a red flashing tip.
Yeah, that's the Red Skull's wang, baby. You got it.
Nice.
We're at time.
Damn. Just like that.
Just like that.
It's, we always seem to go way over an hour, but it always seems like it's not that long. You know?
What are you trying to say?
We're always over an hour.
I know.
But it never seems like it's that long.
Should I just start pulling the plug at 50 minutes and be like, we're at time?
Whatever.
And you're like, cool, 59,
no, I don't.
59. Sweet, we did it.
Maybe at 69.
We just passed 69 minutes, dude. Fucking... You trim the show 69 minutes, and I'll be like, oh, he did it.
Oh, look at that.
He did it.
It doesn't sound right, but...
It'll just cut in at like, Dad's Podcast, episode 318. And you're like, why? That makes no sense. And you're like, 69 minutes.
69. Right on the dot.
4 hours and 20 minutes. What? That's the longest podcast ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that note, you should return the cart.
Wash your ass.
Wash your hands.
Check your oil, Tony.
Stay up to date on your shots. We got my COVID shot and my flu shot last weekend as well.
Make the call if you need to.
Register to vote.
Do the kindness.
Pick up a broom, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.